Hey, I found this very cool project. It's called XENO, and it's about making payments very cheap and very fast. And yes, there were other projects in the past that were claiming to have very inexpensive transactions, but this one is based on XRPL, which is the XRP ledger network, and they're claiming that they're going to have near zero fees, which means they're only going to charge you the gas fees for the network, and they are going to make money, obviously, when converting the spread between the conversion for tokens like RLUSD and anything else that's on that ledger, like XRP or anything else. Anyway, so very cool project. So I do have a quick demo that I wanted to share from that particular developer, I guess, from that company. It's very cool. He's showing how easy and how fast this is. Obviously, if you are using like Bitcoin or Ethereum, it's going to take forever for the transactions to settle. It's going to cost a lot of money. Those networks are expensive and slow. Because this runs on XRPL, network, this is going to be very fast and very cheap. They're claiming that their speed is going to be about 1,500 transactions per second. Obviously, this is very similar to what Visa currently offers, about 1,700 transactions per second, and it's way faster than like Bitcoin or Ethereum, and settles the transaction within a few seconds. So anyway, let's take a look at this demo. I think it's very interesting.
Ready? Go. Right, it's XENO. It's an XRP wallet, same as Apple Wallet, Google Wallet, but instead of Visa and MasterCard, we are straight on the XRPL network. So we've got 784 here, and we want to make a transaction to this payment terminal. So let's do 2 cents for this one. Continue to payment, waiting payment, we just tap, straight away processing transaction. It's gone to the test net, and as soon as this goes on chain, we'll get a little success message. Done. We tap here. You can see it verified on chain. Loads, 2 cents, and just like that, we've made a on-chain transaction.
Anyway, as you can see, very fast for a prototype, especially obviously, in production. Hopefully it will be a lot faster once it's released. They're aiming to have first releases starting in the summer and going all the way into Q4 and have multiple stages. But anyway, so let's take a listen to this podcast that tries to compare this with other payment or crypto payment systems like Alchemy Pay and SWIFT and the traditional payment systems, in order for us to learn whether this has any legs and whether it's going to be viable. Plus, it also increases the utility of the XRPL ledger itself.
All right, so XRPL, right? Big potential. Could really shake up payments. And today we're going deep on a project on XRPL that's making waves. It's called XENO.
And what's interesting about XENO is it's not just about making crypto payments possible. It's about making them so easy and rewarding that even your grandma might ditch your credit card, They're using the XRPL to build a system that's faster, cheaper, and more efficient than anything we've seen before.
Okay, hold on. Even faster than like ordering takeout on my phone.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty darn fast.
Oh, much faster. We're talking transaction speeds that make traditional payment networks look like they're stuck in the Stone Age. And here's the kicker. They're doing it with zero fees for merchants. Imagine that no more of those pesky processing fees eating into your profits.
Right, you got my attention, but how does this all work? Is it like some super complicated crypto thing that only like tech wizards can understand?
Not at all. XENO has 2 main components, a user-friendly wallet app and a merchant app. The wallet app uses NFC technology just like Apple Pay or Google Pay, so you can simply tap your phone to make a purchase. The merchant app allows businesses to accept these payments instantly with funds settling in seconds.
So it's basically like using your phone to pay, but with all the benefits of blockchain technology just kind of working behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the whole crypto volatility thing? I know you've explained this to me before, but I still get nervous like thinking about my money suddenly losing value.
That's a valid concern, but XENO has a clever solution. Stablecoins. They use a stablecoin called RLUSD, which is pegged to the US dollar. So one RLUSD always equals one US dollar, meaning the value stays consistent. You don't have to worry about those wild price swings that you see with other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin.
Ah, that makes sense. Stablecoins, stable life. So I load up my XENO wallet with RLUSD and I'm good to go. But what about those transaction fees we talked about earlier? You said XENO eliminates those for merchants, but how?
It's all thanks to the XRPL's ridiculously low transaction costs. We're talking fractions of a penny. XENO has a system called a relayer that allows merchants to cover that tiny fee for their customers, making the entire experience completely free for you.
Free? As in, I could buy my morning coffee with crypto and pay absolutely nothing in fees. That's wild. It almost feels like magic.
It's not magic. It's the power of blockchain technology, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. XENO also has this really interesting pay-to-earn model where you can earn rewards just for making purchases.
Wait, hold on. Pay to earn. So I'm getting rewarded for spending money. Tell me more.
It's pretty cool. Every time you make a purchase using RLUSD through the XENO app, you earn XENO reward tokens. Think of it like a supercharged cashback program, but instead of getting a few cents back, you're earning tokens that can be used for discounts, special features within the XENO ecosystem, or even traded on exchanges.
So it's like getting paid to shop. Sign me up. But how does this compare to other crypto payment solutions out there? I know we've talked about SWFT and Alchemy Pay before, and they seem to be doing some interesting things in this space.
You're right, there are other players in the crypto payments game, and each one has its own strengths. SWFT, for example, is really good at facilitating cross-chain token swaps, while Alchemy Pay has a broader network of merchant acceptance, especially in the gaming and online retail sectors.
So they're all trying to solve the same problem, making crypto payments mainstream, but they're taking different approaches. What makes XENO stand out from the crowd?
XENO's focus is on creating a truly user-friendly experience that feels familiar to anyone who's used Apple Pay or Google Pay. That tap and pay functionality is key, especially for mainstream adoption. They want to abstract away all the complexities of blockchain technology and make it so simple that anyone can use it regardless of their technical knowledge.
Okay, that makes sense. But how does this all stack up against the big dogs of the payment world? Can XENO really compete with giants like Visa and MasterCard?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And honestly, it's still too early to tell. The potential is certainly there, but mainstream adoption of crypto payments still faces some hurdles. We need to remember that the world of finance moves slowly, and there's always resistance to change, especially when you're talking about challenging the status quo.
But XENO seems to be addressing those hurdles head on, right? They're making it easy for both users and merchants to adopt crypto payments, and they're offering tangible benefits that traditional systems just can't match. And didn't you mention something about XENO potentially disrupting POS providers like Stripe or Clover?
That's right. If XENO gains widespread adoption, it could potentially bypass those traditional POS systems altogether. Merchants could accept payments directly through the XENO app, eliminating the need for those third-party providers and their associated fees.
Whoa, now that would be a major shakeup. It sounds like we're on the verge of a payment revolution. But before we get too carried away, let's take a closer look at some of the specific challenges XENO might face.
One of the biggest challenges for any new payment system is security. People need to trust that their money is safe and that their transactions are protected. XENO claims to leverage the security of the XRPL ledger blockchain, which is generally considered to be very secure. But there are always potential vulnerabilities, and any security breach could severely damage their reputation.
That's a good point. And what about regulations? The world of crypto is still a bit of a wild west, and governments are constantly trying to figure out how to regulate it. How could that impact XENO's growth?
That's a valid concern. Different countries have different regulations surrounding cryptocurrencies, and some are more welcoming than others. XENO will need to navigate these regulatory landscapes carefully to ensure they're operating legally and compliantly in each region they target.
It sounds like there are a lot of moving parts here, but XENO seems to have a solid plan in place. They've laid out a clear roadmap in their white paper, outlining their phased approach to global expansion and adoption.
And they're already making moves. Did you know they're showcasing XENO at the XRPL Apex event in Singapore this June? It's a big opportunity for them to connect with the XRP community, get feedback from developers, and build momentum for their platform.
That's awesome. It's always inspiring to see a project with such a bold vision taking concrete steps to make it a reality. But I'm curious about the specifics of their go-to-market strategy. Who are they targeting first, and how do they plan to attract users and merchants?
According to their white paper, their initial focus is on early crypto-adopting merchants. These are businesses that already accept Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, so they're more likely to be open to using XENO as well.
That makes sense. Start with those who are already familiar with and comfortable using crypto for payments and then gradually expand to a wider audience. But how do they plan to bridge the gap to those of us who are still dipping our toes into the crypto waters?
That's where their phase 3 comes in. Mainstream adoption. Their goal is to abstract away most of the crypto complexities and present a simple, user-friendly tap-to-pay interface that feels familiar to anyone who's used Apple Pay or Google Pay.
So they're making it so easy that you don't even need to understand the intricacies of blockchain technology to use it.
Yeah.
But that begs the question, how do they plan to integrate with existing point-of-sale systems? Most businesses already have systems in place, and they're not going to rip and replace those overnight.
That's another key piece of their strategy. They're actively seeking partnerships with POS hardware providers to embed XENO's NFC payment capabilities alongside existing fiat payment methods.
So imagine this. You go to your local grocery store, and at checkout, you see the familiar options for credit cards, debit cards, and now right alongside them, you see the option to pay with XENO. That's a pretty slick integration. But I'm still a little fuzzy on the tokenized cashback system. How does that actually work in practice, and how does it benefit both users and merchants?
It's actually quite simple. Every time you make a purchase with RLUSD through the XENO app, you earn a certain number of XENO reward tokens. Think of it like earning points on your credit card. But instead of points, you're earning tokens that have real value within the XENO ecosystem.
So it's like a built-in loyalty program that rewards you for using XENO. But what can you actually do with these tokens?
You have a few options. You can use them for discounts on future purchases, you can trade them on supported exchanges, or you can redeem them for other benefits within the XENO ecosystem. The specifics are still being developed, but the idea is to create a vibrant and engaging ecosystem where those tokens have real utility.
Okay, that's starting to make sense. It's like a whole mini economy built around the XENO payment system.
But how does this benefit the merchants?
Well, for one, it encourages customers to use XENO as their preferred payment method, which means more business for them. Merchants can also choose to subsidize or enhance user rewards for specific campaigns or promotions. So imagine a local coffee shop offering double cashback rewards for customers who pay with XENO during a certain week. It's a great way to drive traffic and build loyalty.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that it doesn't cost the merchants anything extra in terms of processing fees. They're already saving money by using XENO, so they have more flexibility to offer these kinds of incentives to their customers.
It's a win-win for everyone involved. But I remember you mentioned something about a relayer system earlier. Can you explain what that is and how it works?
Sure. As we discussed, there's a tiny XRPL network fee or gas fee associated with each transaction. While it's minuscule compared to traditional card processing fees, it can still be a barrier for some users, especially those who are new to crypto.
I can see how that might be a bit confusing for someone who's used to just swiping their card and not thinking about network fees.
Exactly. So XENO's relayer system allows merchants to cover that gas fee for their customers, making the transaction completely free for the user.
So in essence, the merchant is absorbing that tiny fee to provide a more seamless and user-friendly experience for their customers.
Precisely. And remember that tiny gas fee is still far less than what they would be paying in credit card processing fees. So it's a small price to pay for increased customer satisfaction and potentially higher sales.
It's a clever solution. It removes a potential barrier to entry for users and allows merchants to demonstrate their commitment to providing a convenient and affordable payment experience. But if XENO isn't making money off of transaction fees, how do they plan to generate revenue?
That's a great question. XENO's revenue comes from a few key sources. First, they charge a small commission on fiat on-off ramp services. So when you convert your fiat currency into RLUSD or vice versa, XENO takes a small cut.
Fiat on-off ramp services. Can you break that down for me? I think I missed that memo.
It's basically how you get your regular money into and out of the XENO ecosystem.
Right.
Think of it like exchanging your dollars for euros when you travel to Europe. You need a way to convert your local currency into the currency used in the place you're visiting, and that's what these on-off ramp services do.
Okay, that makes sense. So they're providing a valuable service, and it's reasonable for them to charge a small fee for it.
But you said there were other revenue streams, right?
Yes. They also generate revenue from token conversion fees. So if you want to convert your RUSD into XRP or other supported tokens within the XENO app, they charge a small spread on the transaction.
It's similar to how currency exchanges operate. It's a standard practice in the crypto world. But the key takeaway here is that XENO is not making money off of transaction fees like traditional payment processors. Their revenue model is aligned with their mission of creating a more efficient and affordable payment system.
Exactly. And that's what makes XENO so intriguing. They're not just building a new technology, they're building a new paradigm for financial transactions. But as with any disruptive technology, there are always challenges and uncertainties ahead.
That's a great point. We've covered a lot of ground already, but there's still much more to explore. We'll dive deeper into those challenges and what they could mean for XENO's future in the next part of our deep dive. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Before we went away, we were painting a pretty rosy picture of XENO and its potential, but it's important to remember that no system is perfect. There are always challenges and risks to consider.
Right. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. Even with a brilliant idea and a solid team, there are always hurdles to overcome, especially when you're trying to disrupt an industry as massive and entrenched as the financial system.
Exactly. One of the biggest hurdles for any emerging technology is adoption. It doesn't matter how amazing your product is if no one is using it.
And in the case of payments, you need buy-in from both sides, users and merchants.
Precisely. For users, it comes down to convenience and incentives. People are creatures of habit. They're not going to switch to a new payment method unless it's easier, more rewarding, or just plain cooler than what they're already using.
So XENO's focus on a user-friendly interface and that tokenized cashback system are crucial for attracting users. But what about the merchants? What's in it for them?
For merchants, it's all about cost savings, ease of integration, and potentially tapping into a whole new customer base. XENO's zero-fee model is a huge selling point. It could save businesses a significant amount of money compared to traditional credit card processing fees.
That makes sense. But what about security? Is it really safe for merchants to be handling crypto payments?
That's a valid concern, and it's something XENO takes very seriously. They leverage the security of the XRPL blockchain, which is known for its robustness. Plus, all transactions are validated on-chain, making them transparent and auditable. But perhaps more importantly, they're utilizing stablecoins, which eliminates the volatility risk that many people associate with cryptocurrencies.
Okay, so they've got the security angle covered. But what about integration with existing point-of-sale systems? Most businesses already have systems in place, and they're not going to rip and replace those just to accept XENO payments.
You're right, that's a key challenge. That's why XENO is actively seeking partnerships with POS hardware providers. Their goal is to seamlessly integrate with popular POS systems, making it easy for merchants to add XENO as a payment option without disrupting their existing workflows.
So instead of trying to compete with existing POS providers, they're working to become a part of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Clever move. But even with seamless integration, there's still the challenge of education and awareness.
Absolutely. There's still a lot of skepticism and even fear surrounding cryptocurrencies. Some people still associate crypto with illicit activities or those wild price fluctuations we talked about earlier.
Yeah, I get that. It can be a bit intimidating for those who aren't familiar with the technology. So how does XENO plan to overcome that?
Education is key. They need to clearly communicate the advantages of using XENO, especially the cost savings, the potential for earning rewards, and the stability of using a US dollar-pegged stablecoin. And they need to do it in a way that's understandable and relatable to the average person without all the technical jargon.
It's about building trust and making people feel comfortable with the idea of using crypto for everyday transactions. But even if you can win over the hearts and minds of users and merchants, there's still the regulatory landscape to navigate. And let's be honest, the world of crypto regulation is like a constantly shifting maze.
You're not wrong. Different countries have different rules, and some are more crypto-friendly than others. XENO will need to tread carefully to ensure they're compliant in each jurisdiction they operate in. And they need to be adaptable because those regulations could change at any time.
It's a bit like playing a game of whack-a-mole, but with laws and regulations. Speaking of challenges, we can't forget about security. Any payment system, especially one dealing with cryptocurrencies, is a target for hackers and scammers.
Absolutely. Security breaches can be devastating both in terms of financial losses and damage to reputation. XENO needs to have robust security measures in place to protect user funds and data. It's an ongoing battle, but one they can't afford to lose.
So we've got adoption, education, regulation, and security, all pretty big hurdles. Are there any other major challenges you foresee XENO facing?
One potential challenge is scalability. As the XENO network grows, they need to make sure their infrastructure can handle the increasing volume of transactions. We've all heard those horror stories about blockchain networks getting clogged and transactions taking forever to process.
Right, like trying to get a coffee during rush hour. At the most popular cafe in town, not a pleasant experience.
Exactly. XENO needs to avoid those bottlenecks. They need to ensure their system can process transactions quickly and efficiently, even during peak usage times.
So scalability, reliability, and performance are all key factors for their long-term success. It sounds like they have their work cut out for them.
They do, but I have to say their white paper outlines a pretty comprehensive plan for addressing these challenges. And they seem to have a solid team in place with the technical expertise to pull it off. It's still early days, but it's definitely a project worth keeping an eye on.
Agreed. But earlier you mentioned competition. XENO isn't the only player in the crypto payments game, right? What about those other platforms we talked about, SWFT and Alchemy Pay? How do they compare?
That's a great question. While all three platforms are aiming to make crypto payments easier and more accessible, their approaches differ in some key ways. SWFT, for instance, focuses primarily on cross-chain token swaps and transfers, making it easy to move your crypto assets between different blockchains.
So it's like a universal translator for cryptocurrency?
Exactly. Alchemy Pay, on the other hand, has focused on building a wide network of merchant acceptance. They've partnered with some big names in the gaming and online retail industries, giving them a strong foothold in those sectors.
So they're each carving out their own niche in the crypto payments landscape. But what makes XENO stand out?
XENO's differentiator is their laser focus on simplicity and user experience, especially with that seamless NFC tap and pay functionality. They're aiming to make crypto payments as effortless as using your phone for everyday purchases, even those small impulse buys.
Interesting. But how does their choice of the XRP ledger as their underlying technology factor into all of this?
That's a crucial point. The XRPL is renowned for its speed, scalability, and low transaction costs, all huge advantages in the payment space. It's significantly faster and cheaper than traditional payment networks like Visa and MasterCard.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal. But aren't there other blockchain platforms out there that are also trying to get a piece of the payments pie?
Absolutely. It's a dynamic and fiercely competitive landscape. But XENO seems to be well-positioned with their choice of technology and their user-centric approach.
It's like watching a high-stakes poker game unfold. The stakes are high, the players are ambitious, and the outcome is still uncertain.
That's a great analogy, but at the end of the day, the real winners in this game will be the consumers. Increased competition leads to better products, lower prices, and more choices.
It's like a rising tide lifts all boats, even if you're not directly participating in the crypto revolution.
Exactly. But enough about the big picture. Let's bring it back to our listener.
Yes.
What does all of this mean for you?
All right, let's get practical. How could XENO potentially impact the everyday lives of our listeners?
For starters, it means you have more choices than ever before when it comes to how you pay for things. You're no longer limited to traditional credit cards or debit cards. You have the option to use cryptocurrencies, and platforms like XENO are making it easier and more rewarding to do so.
So even if our listener isn't ready to go all in on crypto just yet, it's still a good idea to stay informed about these developments because they could have a ripple effect on the entire financial system.
I completely agree. The way we think about and use money is changing rapidly, and it's important to stay ahead of the curve.
Well said. But I think it's time to take a short break and let our listener process all of this information.
Sounds good. We'll be right back to explore some real-world examples of how XENO could be used and discuss the broader implications for the future of finance.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've spent the last two segments really unpacking XENO, its potential, its challenges, and its place in this evolving world of crypto payments. But let's get down to brass tacks. How might this actually play out in your life?
It's fascinating to think about, isn't it? XENO isn't just some abstract concept. It's designed to be integrated into our everyday lives. Picture this. You're finally taking that trip to Japan you've always dreamed of. Instead of fumbling with currency exchanges or getting slammed with international transaction fees, you just tap your phone using RLUSD through XENO and boom, you're enjoying that delicious bowl of ramen. No fuss, no extra charges, just smooth, seamless transactions.
Okay, I'm sold on the ramen scenario. But let's bring it back home for a second. Let's say our listener is a small business owner. Maybe they run that independent bookstore we all wish still existed in our neighborhoods. How could XENO help them?
Well, think about it. Every time someone swipes their credit card, a chunk of that sale disappears in processing fees. With XENO, those fees vanish. Suddenly, our bookstore owner has more wiggle room to offer competitive prices or even invest those savings back into the business.
And don't forget those XENO reward tokens.
Mm-hmm.
Our book-loving entrepreneur could offer special deals or loyalty programs to XENO users, creating a buzz that no dusty old buy 10, get one free punch card could ever match.
Exactly. It's about creating a symbiotic relationship between businesses and their customers. But the potential goes beyond just retail. Think about those like recurring payments that always seem to slip our minds. Gym memberships, streaming services, utility bills.
Ugh, don't remind me. I'm swimming in late fees from forgetting to pay my internet bill.
With XENO, those worries could fade away. You could automate those payments, ensuring they're always on time. And hey, maybe you'll even rack up some reward tokens while you're at it.
Okay, I have to admit, it's starting to sound like XENO could be the answer to all my financial woes.
Yeah.
But I have to play devil's advocate for a moment. We've been focusing on the sunny side of the street, but what about the potential downsides? Are there any risks or concerns our listeners should be aware of?
That's a responsible question, and it's important to address with any new technology, especially in the financial realm. There are inherent risks. While the blockchain itself is generally secure, applications built on top of it are only as secure as their developers make them.
So it's like building a fortress on a solid foundation. The foundation might be unbreakable, but if the walls have cracks, someone could still sneak in.
That's a great way to put it. There's always the possibility of bugs or vulnerabilities in the code that could be exploited by those with less than noble intentions. It's crucial for XENO to prioritize security conduct, rigorous testing, and be prepared to respond swiftly to any potential threats.
And as we discussed earlier, the regulatory landscape for crypto is still evolving. What's legal and accepted today might not be tomorrow, right?
Exactly. It's a bit of a wild west out there, and the rules of the game could change at any moment. XENO needs to be agile and adaptable, navigating those shifting regulatory sands while ensuring they're operating within the law in every region they enter.
So users need to stay informed and be aware that the crypto world is still finding its footing. But even if we assume XENO overcomes those hurdles, there's still the issue of trust.
Trust the cornerstone of any financial system. People need to trust the platform they're using, and they need to trust the people behind it.
That's where transparency and communication are essential. XENO needs to be open about their operations, their security measures, and their plans for the future. They need to build a relationship with their users based on honesty and mutual respect.
I couldn't agree more, but let's shift gears for a moment and think about the bigger picture. What could XENO's success mean for the existing players in the payments industry? Those credit card giants, payment processors, and POS providers.
Well, I doubt they're going to just roll over and surrender their market share.
Yeah.
Competition breeds innovation, and I expect we'll see the traditional players stepping up their game, lowering their fees, and maybe even exploring their own blockchain-based solutions.
That's a safe bet, but the genie is out of the bottle. Cryptocurrency and blockchain technology are here to stay, and they're poised to disrupt the financial world in ways we're only just beginning to understand.
It's an exciting time to be witnessing this transformation unfold. And whether or not XENO becomes the dominant player in the payment space, the ideas they're championing and the technology they're developing are pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And that's what makes this such a fascinating journey. The future of finance is being written right now, and we all have a role to play in shaping it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into XENO and the world of crypto payments, we encourage you to keep exploring, stay curious, and ask questions. The more informed we are, the better equipped we'll be to navigate this exciting new landscape.
And who knows, maybe someday soon we'll all be enjoying that bowl of ramen in Tokyo, paying seamlessly with XENO, and wondering why we ever did things any other way.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.